Dr. Seth, Jenny, thank you so much for being here with me in this conversation. And for sure, you're going to add a lot of amazing value. So I'm very excited today to talk about Collegiate Esports and all the stuff that you've done in AI and esports. But before we start, do you want to make a brief introduction of everything you've done until
Oh,
now?
geez. I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version, but Ivan, appreciate the invitation. I really respect and appreciate the work that you're doing in this space because not a lot of people are highlighting the good work that is done in this space, particularly with the collegiate esports space and in the education within esports space. But yeah, so I'm
Mhm.
Dr. Seth Jenny. I teach in the Department of Exercise Science at Slippery Rock University of Pennsylvania in the United States. Some of the things that I've been involved in, I was the senior editor of the Routledge Handbook of Esports, which is 62 chapters covering the gamut of esports from 93 different authors representing 27 different countries worldwide. I co-edited the Esports Business Management textbook with Human Kinetics with David Headland and Gil Fried. That just came out recently as well. It's the best-selling esports textbook. I'm also the Routledge Research Series in Esports and Video Gaming book series editor. So if you're interested in proposing an esports-related book, reach out to me. My email is dr.sethjenny@gmail.com. You can find me, search my name, you'll find me. And so, yeah, I've been doing esports and video gaming research since about 2012. And I've helped build out curriculum for esports education programs, done research in that area. I teach esports courses within the undergraduate minor at Slippery Rock. And then more recently, which is, I guess, what we'll be talking about today, with the Voice of Intercollegiate Esports, I conducted the Benefits of Collegiate Esports research study recently. And then I also, with the International Esports Federation, funded by the city of Busan in South Korea and in association with Voice, I led in creating the World Esports AI ethics guidelines. So that's
Amazing.
me in a nutshell.
Amazing. I'm here taking notes because I have a bunch of questions from your introduction. Okay. So, first of all, very simple. And for those that are not aware, what does research do to an industry, especially like gaming and esports?
Um, it can do nothing if nobody pays attention to it, knows where the
Mhm.
resources are, and then knows about the research that's been conducted, which is one of the reasons why I try to, um, you know, do these types of talks. But whenever people are aware of it and they're able that if the research is written in a way that is practical and application based, which is something that I definitely strive for. I don't like research that is ivory tower that uses all these crazy big words and then nobody
Mhm.
understands what it even means. But whenever it is written in a practical way, it's meant to solve problems that are actual truthful problems, but also the purpose of research is finding the truth about something, and what it can do is can help people make informed decisions and evidence-based decisions. And so in esports, if we're talking about collegiate esports,
Mhm.
it's difficult to get that information to directors because they're so busy with so many other tasks. And so they need to make effort to seek that information out. And researchers need to make sure that they're putting in initiatives to get that information out, but also to make sure that they're doing practical research that is going to help improve performance or help with practical solutions to management, to communication, to whatever that might be, so that it's a two-way street and there's nice cooperation and teamwork between researchers and practitioners.
Amazing. And in the esports research network that you manage, like, what do you guys like when you have meetings, what do you talk about? Do you share specific knowledge? Like, what's the
Yeah, so I'm a board member of the Esports Research Network. It's over 650 different esports researchers globally from I think
Okay.
over 60 different countries, and we host an annual conference. I was the in charge of this last conference with Amanda Cote and Tobias Schultz and Cameron
Mhm.
Van Loo and a few other people globally. And it was an online conference. And so when we definitely, that's one of our big things, is hosting that conference to have a venue and an outlet for people to present the cutting edge research that they're doing. And we also have a Discord channel where that's where a lot of interaction is with our membership. Um, Getting participants asking questions, finding research, finding information about topics that they're studying. Um, and so we also help people and endorse projects, whether that be grant funded projects, whether it is writing letters in support of people conducting research. And really, it's a way that you can connect with other researchers that are interested in whatever topic you're focused on. So whether it's performance or toxicity or communication or business or all of the different areas within esports, so that you can network with those people.
What's the trending topic that you guys
Uh,
are discussing about currently?
um, AI is definitely one of them. I mean, the uh, gender discrimination and toxicity has always been a major issue. I would say sustainability is a pretty uh, common topic these days. How do you make the industry sustainable and profitable and less reliant on sponsorship? And esports education, I think, is a current topic, where we had a boom in about 2021. And myself and Nico Bissolms and Joey Gariziak created an inventory of 115 different programs. And I updated that for a presentation in Agder in Norway in about 2023. And I counted up to about 180 esports degree and certificate programs at that time. But I think things are starting to go in the downtrend, where the education programs that aren't well supported are starting to go away, and some of the funding for those programs are dying up. And we need more evidence on the effectiveness of these education programs, that students are being successful in finding jobs. Nobody is really doing research in that area.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and like regarding you also mentioned like AI.
Yeah.
Like, can you like explain? Okay, like why does esports need like a framework and like a guideline for AI, and what exactly did you write to make sure that everyone is following it?
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw into the chat, and I don't know if through StreamYards, and we'll see if it goes
Yeah,
to LinkedIn.
yeah, yeah.
That's an article by IESF. There's two links to that. There's one article that is actual the guidelines, and then there's
Mhm.
another link that goes to the study and the report on how the guidelines were created. And so this was a two-phase study where sent out email survey to 420
Mhm.
esports and AI experts. We
Yeah.
got over 100 responses back. This was Ray Pastor and myself created a draft of the guidelines, and then we sent the draft to 18 experts in esports of varying capacities, and we finalized the guidelines. And so these are guidelines, these are recommendations. I have Seth Jenny has no authority to to make sure that people follow this, but this is sort of like best practices recommendations. And we broke it into three different parts. The first part are like general guidelines, and somebody was reading through the guidelines and they told me some of this stuff is just sort of common sense stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's the point of it. I mean, things like having human-centered oversight of AI is a major concern. My YouTube channel just got flagged with all these copyright concerns, and it was like an AI program that this one entity came through and flagged these erroneous copyright claims, and now I'm looking like I might lose my YouTube channel that I've had for like 10, 15 years, and I can't talk to a human to explain and figure out what's going on because AI is taking over. And people are trying to reduce human labor by using AI, and there's some positives to that, but that's an example of some of the negatives. So there always needs to be human oversight. Other things such as transparency and explainability. So how is AI being used, and making sure that players and coaches are understanding what are the uses and how it's being used for maybe roster decisions, for example. There needs to be whenever it is being used to collect data, there's all of these data privacy concerns and management and sharing concerns. And so those are some of the examples of the guidelines. Then so those are general guidelines. Then we have specific guidelines for esports training, so practice. And then we have other guidelines for esports competition. And so we talk about what we, the current status of what is commonly accepted as acceptable uses of AI during training and competition, and then what are unacceptable uses. So you go into the whole gamut of cheating, of people stealing data from other teams. But really what it comes down to is fair play and competition integrity, and making sure that both sides have a fair and equal balance, and that AI is not causing the results of the outcome of the match, and it has to do with the players and their inputs in the gaming systems is the result of the match, and not some type of AI interference. And so there's a lot of nuance and intricacies within the report, but I encourage people to check it out.
Are players cheating with AI already?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you could call some type of aim assist, or some type of system, a computer program that is providing data to the players in real time that is not available to the rest of the players, that provides them feedback that they shouldn't receive, but they're using AI to do that. Such as finding out information about things that should be hidden within the game, information about where the location of the other players, their opponents are in the map, for example. Yeah, these could be, or even, in practice, where somebody is stealing somebody's practice data and then creating an AI training model on that stolen data would be another example of it. But, if we talk about some of the benefits of AI use, AI is commonly used with chat moderation and, trying to reduce some of the toxicity in the environment. There's pros and cons if there's not human oversight of that. AI is used for language translation, and so because that would cause a lag in play, there's really no major advantage for a team that has multilingual players to use AI for translation, but it helps with inclusion. Some players use voice modulation with AI. So they want to disguise that they're a female or woman, for example, and so they'll use voice modulation to reduce toxicity, and that's an acceptable use of AI.
Okay. Very interesting.
People with disabilities, whether they have a visual or hearing impairment, and certain components within the game is augmented through the use of AI to help them be able to play within that digital environment.
Okay. And there's something else that you mentioned, like when I asked you about like the trending topics. One is sustainability.
Yeah.
Every other day I see, like people posting the financials of some pro teams and how they're losing money, and it's how long can I last losing money game. But like in collegiate esports, like what traits do you see that programs have that achieve that sustainability? Like how do they make it sustainable?
Yeah. I think that it depends on what's their focus area, So if you look at Boise State, they have a massive focus on communication, broadcasting, and so they're pulling in a lot of sponsorship because they're getting a lot of viewers and eyes on their streams and their players, and so that is an area where you can pull in sponsorship. You can look at the Maryville model where they are partnering with tier 2 organizations, and they're providing the product to play in tier 2. And so they have the tier 2 team, but then that tier 2 team, Luminosity Gaming, is the example there with Maryville. Um, they are being provided players. They're providing free coaching. The players are given housing. So they're representing the university, but they're also representing that tier 2, and that's another model. You could look at the Syracuse model where they're doing a ton of different stuff, but they have a major focus on esports education. And so they are doing different degree programs focused on teaching students various skills within the industry that are transferable, that could be used in other types of career fields. And so they're pulling in students with more of the learning aspect and a little bit less of the performance aspect. Not to say that they're not competitive, but a major focus of that program is education and in training. And actually, the benefits of collegiate esports study, one of the things that I wanted to put into that study was, you hear about particularly student-based clubs that are led by students, and you hear about how many different roles collegiate esports players are doing outside of just playing. And in that study, I was wanting to know, okay, so we've got like in-game leaders and captains and broadcasters, casters. We've got some other type of management roles. We've got sponsorship, all of these different areas where players can be involved in it. And 73% of the sample did at least one role beyond just being a player. And so there's a lot of leadership, teamwork, transferable communication skills that players are being involved in. That, I ran collegiate cross country and track and field, and we did a little bit of event management, but I wasn't like going out and doing broadcasting of races. It's just something totally different in esports than it is traditional sports, of all of these different roles that players are doing beyond just playing.
Yeah, one great thing about esports programs in the collegiate space is, like, for example, I went back in the day, I graduated 2013, but like I went to the States with a tennis scholarship to do my business administration and tennis. And yeah, I was focused on tennis, and like there was like one job opening, maybe helping in recruiting.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, when I'm talking with esports directors or head coaches that want to recruit that specific student, they're like, yeah, we can get you this scholarship, but then we can get you work study, and you can work in this and this and that. And I'm like, at the beginning I was like, whoa, but now I can tell families that they can gain a lot of in-person experience, not just competing in the video game, but like on campus jobs, like a bunch. So that's amazing as well. Because in traditional sports, I didn't get to have that many on-campus opportunities that were involved directly with the athletic program. So amazing. And I want to get into the comment section. We have here Ben from YouTube saying hi, Marcelo clapping hands on your LinkedIn, and then Gina Johnson, okay, mentioning Dr. says Jenny is right on point. As someone who is an American public university BS in esports senior public policy is the main obstacle in getting interest to get jobs during and after graduation. In addition to the issue Dr. Seth just mentioned, state public policy prevents a lot of progress and is a big problem, as the understanding is a lack of interest due to lack of cross-generational interest or interaction. Dr. Seth
Mm.
Jenny is right on point. As someone who is an American public university, and it doesn't show anymore. But yeah,
Oh yeah, I see that.
yeah, here.
Yeah, so especially I've reached out when I was first doing research on potential outcomes of education students within esports education. The problem when I was there's no like they code different majors, different things. So like if you're a psychology major, they use this specific code. Just like medical billing, and then they track those graduates to see what those outcomes were and their employment rates and things like that. Well, there is no code for esports because it's falling into exercise science, it's falling into communications and media, it was falling into sport management, and so it was really hard to tease out the outcomes of esports education students compared to those other majors. It just depended on how the program was housed at the university.
Yeah, and what do you think are like the besides like employability, like what do you think are the main measurables that a collegiate esports program needs to show the university administration to basically, prove the value that they bring to students?
I mean, I think the biggest thing this day and age is revenue. It's student recruitment and retention. You need to show that these programs are recruiting new students that they probably wouldn't have otherwise come to that university, and that you have retention rates that are greater than the average retention rates at the university, so that you're trying to show that the esports program is the reason. And that's the type of data that we pulled in the benefits of collegiate esports study. So I posted the link in the StreamYards. I don't know if it went to LinkedIn, but it's on the Voice website, voicecollegiate.org. For that particular study that involved 12 different universities, that fairly national representation, like over about 3/4 of the directors stated that they pulled in about 75% of the they directly recruited their players. All right. So of the sample of the 12 directors, they said they recruited 75% of the players. Well, when we asked the players whether they were recruited to play esports at that university, only about 25% of the players stated that they were recruited to play esports. So there was a disconnect between what the directors said they were doing and what the players perceived that they were actually being recruited. And so
Yeah.
as far as our study goes, the actual recruitment wasn't quite there. However, when you looked at the metrics on student retention, it was significantly better for the esports players than the same students at the university who don't play esports, is the comparisons that
Yeah.
we did. But what was really interesting is the amount of transfer students that were esports players was significantly higher at several institutions compared to the transfer rates of the general student body. And so I think that students are getting into higher ed. They are not really knowing that esports exists. Then when they get into oh geez, there's a club here, there's a competitive team here, and so they get involved in esports, they're gravitated toward it. Then they realize that the university they chose isn't really good at their game title, and they're transferring to a school that is better competition for the game title that they play. And that's what I sort of am taking from some of that data.
Yeah, I was gonna say from ignorance on my end, I think there's a disconnect because maybe as a esports coordinator, you like on campus recruitment or and outside, recruitment is the same thing, but for the university, it's not, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, that's different. But like, I've also talked to some esports directors that one of the main measurables is not like recruiting students from outside, because they have massive campuses, and their objective is to get students to, like, develop skills and have a great time in their esports program, and they never had to do outside recruitment. But I guess like small private universities usually are the ones that have to
Yeah,
do
I
the
mean,
most out of campus
so it's a
recruitment.
matter of whether you're wanting to pull in students outside the university. That would be recruitment, but then there's also engagement and retention. And
Mhm.
so, are you pulling in the students that are on campus? And then, when you look at that study, and we asked them just with the open-ended question, what are some of the main benefits of playing collegiate esports? And some of the top answers are sense of belonging. Um,
Yeah.
Finding people that are like-minded, like me. Um, some of them, it's an outlet for their competitive performance. Um, Teamwork and communication and building leadership skills were common answers. So um, certainly developing learning outcomes. And then also developing an on-campus community where people feel accepted, in that, in high ed, what we'd call student engagement. Those would be other types of markers that administrators would want to see.
Yeah. And on the transferring thing that you mentioned, like students transferring, maybe it's irrelevant, but like I've seen a lot of comments and from other administrators that in collegiate esports there's a lot of poaching and students transferring from
Yeah.
universities. Like in traditional athletics, that, from what I remember, is illegal. Like if I transferred from one university to the other because I wanted to try to transfer to a better academic university because my GPA increased, and I had to talk with my head coach, and my head coach had to sign
Yeah.
uh,
To let
a
you be
release,
eligible.
a
So
release in order for another head coach to be able to talk to me.
yeah. So I mean, now they have what's called the transfer portal, and if I'm being honest, I don't know all the specific rules on the transfer portal, but it is easier. I think that it was horrible that an athlete would lose a year of eligibility if they transferred schools, when
Mhm.
a coach who recruited them could then, decide and just move schools, and then they didn't lose a year
Yeah.
of pay. So it was a double standard between the athletes and the coaches. And I mean, really, I think it's fair game. If you can't keep a player happy at your institution, then yeah, they should be able to leave. So obviously, esports, there's no transfer portal. Anybody can maintain eligibility as long as those things are, whether they're a full-time student, whether they some leagues have rules about whether they're online versus in-person student, things like that. And that you maybe have a GPA requirement, but I don't think that there should be any type of rules against players transferring to another school because they're unhappy with their current situation. Because,
Yeah.
it could be where maybe you got in a relationship with somebody and they were transferring to another school, and you wanted to go with that person. It had nothing to do with sports or esports. Why should you be penalized if you decide that for whatever reason you want to go to another school to compete? I understand that people put in time and resources into recruiting, but if you can't keep the people happy, then I'm sorry, you lost them.
Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. And we have another question from Sophie.
Yeah.
Sorry to go back to AI, so I guess we'll focus
No,
on
it's
AI because
good.
that's
I like
what the
the
people
AI
want.
question.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But do esport players and teams have unequal access to AI technologies, creating a competitive imbalance?
So this is a really good question. It definitely came up in our research. It For all of the guidelines, we give acceptable and unacceptable
Mhm.
uses. And for that specific topic, we didn't give acceptable and unacceptable uses because it's contentious. People are on both sides of the fence. So the one side of the fence is, if you use AI in training, then everybody should have access to that AI program, right? Because to make things equal. Okay. The other side of the fence is, I'm a pro team. I have a lot of money. I'm going to build out my own AI training model. Why in the world should I be forced to share what I just built out and to have my own intellectual property? And I put in additional resources to share it with these other teams. It doesn't make any sense. And so, our big thing is that if people are allowed to use AI in competition, then it needs to be open for everybody. But there's a whole concern about, we want to make sure that the results of the outcomes are human based and not AI based. So that's a big concern. If we look at traditional sports, and particularly baseball, there's no salary cap. So the New York Yankees are at the top every year because they have so much more money to pull the top players. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, where I'm from, we're at the bottom of the league every year because our owner doesn't want to put in any additional money. And so that's just sort of the disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And that's capitalism. So equal, unequal access, I think it's more about having clear rules about when AI can and can't be used. So another area was, can AI be used during timeouts or in between matches for maybe review or practice? So competition organizers just need to have clear, consistent, and well publicized rules in advance of what is allowed and what is not allowed. But in my opinion, I don't think that every AI system that's out there should be equally shared to every team or organization. There's When you look at, I'm a distance runner, and we have you've heard of super shoes where they have carbon fiber plates and high type of foam. The Nike Vaporfly is an example. Some of the rules at the highest levels, like the Olympics and IOC types of events, every athlete, well, when a shoe company puts out a new shoe, it has certain requirements, like it can't be more than 39 millimeters of stack height, the thickness of the foam. But the shoe has to be commercially available for at least 30 days prior to the competition to make sure that everybody who wants to have a chance to buy those shoes and to wear them in competition, they can do so. That is potentially a type of model that could be out there. But anyway, those are just a whole lot of nuanced things that specific question opens up, like 17 different types of scenarios.
Yeah. From what you say, like monetization and capitalism, it all starts open source.
Yeah,
And when there's a big community, then they start monetizing it. So yeah.
I think another thing that I didn't mention too, equal and unequal access, is a game publisher or tournament organizer, if they're providing data to players, it has to be given to all the competitors. It can't just be like, all right, this is sponsored by Dell and we're going to give Team Liquid access to all the data from the tournament to practice, but we're not going to give it to other people who are involved in that competition. So not just the AI programs, but data access needs to be unbiased and freely available to all the parties involved, with permission and consent from the teams and players. So yeah, that is another area.
Okay. And another question from Sophie again. And when do you think AI should not be used in esports?
Yeah.
Like, what should be the limits?
So definitely, Sophie, you should read the AI guidelines, because you sound like you'd be the type of person that would be interested in reading the 30 plus pages. The short answer of that is that it should not be used if it's impacting the outcome of the match. So if the results of the match are not because of the human inputs, but because of the AI use, then that's when you have a problem. And I think you got to think about when some people just use the term AI in esports, all they're talking about is the NPCs, the non-playable characters in the game, which is part of the game design. What we're talking really more about is like the add-on programs that use AI and that can extract data, and you don't want that being used during the gameplay that's providing additional feedback to the players that typically aren't available to everybody who's playing that specific game.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. Like if you're using a program and it was doing eye tracking with AI, and the coach is giving feedback to the player about in real time during the match about focal vision, and that could potentially improve their performance that results in them winning the match. That should not be allowed unless all teams in the competition are allowed to use that AI eye tracking software.
And Sophie, I also all the links that Seth shared, like the three main ones about boys, ISF, and I know his research. I shared it on LinkedIn, so you can have all the access to his links. Okay.
And just so all those, they have one that's a report on how the study or the guidelines were conducted, and then the other one is the actual the one is an executive summary, the other one is the actual guidelines. So there's two different documents that you should be looking at for each of the benefits of esports, as well as the AI guidelines study.
Yeah. And one last question that just occurred to me, like when you were talking, like how should collegiate esports programs, head coaches, or like the university teachers or administration like teach like AI to the students? Because like I get like AI is advancing so fast, and university administrators are not catching up because like it's very complicated, to catch up with. But like, how can universities teach AI to students so
Yeah,
that
I mean,
they come prepared? Yeah.
so in higher ed, we have academic freedom. It's like I can do what I want in my own class, blah blah blah. So that's a concern. There's university policies which I don't think should infringe upon academic freedom in the way that a professor wants to approach it. I think it's domain specific. I would not want my son in a class that they're allowed to use AI, and it's a writing class, and all they're doing is just throwing in some inputs into AI, and then it writes for them. So I think what higher ed should be doing relating to AI is a tool. It can be used as a tool, so it shouldn't be outlawed. But you need to make sure that you're teaching, the next generation of workforce how to effectively use AI and how to use it ethically. And it's like a brainstorming tool, really. It's a management tool. It's an efficiency tool, and so part of that, though, is through assignments or in-person activities, having the students like explain how they use the AI to reach the solution or a problem that they had from a tool perspective. And so I don't think we should shy away from it, but I also think that we need to make sure that it's used ethically, there's human oversight, and that we can teach people how to ethically use the AI in whatever field they're in. I mean, if you think about broadcasting, for example, there's a ton of great uses with broadcasting and AI where it's providing the viewers real-time data during the match that a human could never do as quickly. It is doing like creating very quick replay reels in real time. Like that's an example of an ethical use of AI in esports through broadcast management. Now, some of the survey participants had concerns about, yeah, but people are going to lose their jobs if we're using AI. I mean,
People
so
that don't use how to use the tools, those are for sure going to lose their jobs.
I mean, you tell somebody who's like a 1 or 2 person shop, hey, it's not ethical to use AI in your broadcast because you should be hiring more people when they don't have the money to hire more people, So, yeah, I understand that we don't want to have humans losing their jobs, but if things can be done more efficiently and cost effective, then yeah, for people with less resources, it's a consideration.
Yeah, and new jobs that we don't even imagine will emerge from AI.
Yeah.
So it's not that people, yeah. So yeah, Dr. Jenny, like anything else that I haven't mentioned that you would like to mention before we wrap up?
Well, like I said at the start of it, if you go to sethjenny.com, you can at least see some of the research that I'm doing. If you have academic writing experience, research experience, and you're interested in proposing a book in the research series for esports and video gaming, shoot me a message and love to chat.
Amazing. And guys, I put all the links that Seth shared in the LinkedIn in the comments. Okay, so give it a read. Okay.